Hello and welcome to the next episode of the D4H Bravo Zulu video live stream series. And so while we wait on people to connect here and start viewing us live, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we've got coming today. So this live streaming series is designed that we can speak with people from emergency response teams, emergency management all over the world. From all walks of life, from public safety, corporate crisis, and industrial sites. And this live stream goes out live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. So you can grab it on any of those, and there's a watch back feature as well. So everything's recorded. Our audio version of this goes out on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, iTunes, and anywhere you get your podcasts from. So if you want just the audio version of that, you can get it there as well. If you're watching live, please do say hello in the comments. I'll say a hello here to everybody. And your questions are coming in live to us, so we're able to answer any questions that you have and put them straight to my guest today. So today I'm joined by Félix Talbot from the Waban-Aki Grand Conseil, and he's going to discuss with us what goes on in First Nations emergency management. Félix is from the sort of area around Quebec and Montreal. He's going to tell us a little bit further on this in Canada. And they're going to go through their training, preparation, their equipment, and how they respond to incidents to share that with more. So let's bring Félix in.
Hey, Robin.
Hey, Félix, how are you? Thanks for joining me.
I'm pretty good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So the first thing I really need to do is as we're talking about First Nations emergency management, from an international perspective, First Nations isn't a familiar term for us outside of North America, I think. Can you describe that a little bit to put that in context for people?
Exactly. So in Quebec, we have First Nation. So I would say there's around 10 different First Nation. Those are different kind of indigenous people nation.
Yes.
And those First Nation have different communities. So up to let's say more than 40. So I think there's a little bit more of I would say 100,000 and plus people in the First Nation in Quebec.
Wow,
so yeah, exactly.
And so the First Nations community is it reserved land for them? Is it their original land, or it's land that they live on together, or is it integrated into the community? How does it work?
Yeah, so I don't want to get much more into politics, but they have their own space that is I would say administered by the federal government, but they have their own specific space. Yeah, exactly, for each First Nation, each community. Yeah. Okay,
excellent. I see we've already got some great people in watching here. Brennan is in New Zealand. We've met a couple of times actually, and he's looking after the Maori populations in New Zealand, and so he's tuned in to hear what's going on in Canada in comparison. So Brennan, hello, and good to see you on. Okay, so where in the world are you? You're in Canada, eastern side. Describe it to people.
Yeah, sure. I'm in the Quebec province in Canada, and we're in a little community which is named Wôlinak, and it's a little community near Trois-Rivières, which is approximately, for those who are not familiar with with Quebec, it's approximately 1 hour and 30 from Montreal. Yeah.
Okay. And so it's French speaking?
Yeah.
That whole
exactly.
Region. Yeah. Excellent. So in that region, what kind of emergencies do you deal with? What does an emergency management agency have to handle?
Sure. So for us, we are our territory is all the Quebec province. So we have plenty of different casualties or crises that can happen. So we have more of a forest side on Quebec that is subject to wildfire, for example. We also have some communities on that are bordering the St. Lawrence River. So those are more subject to floods, for example. And we got a lot of stuff. We got remote communities that are subject to a power outbreak, freezing cold temperatures, and so on. Yeah.
What's the most common emergency? Is there something that comes up all the time?
I would say the most common, I don't know, but the three more common, I would say floods for sure. We have wildfire in the summer, and I would say power outbreak. Yeah, I would say those three. Yeah.
And so what does the EMA do for a power outage? What's the
You said for us, what we do?
What are you doing centrally for it?
Yeah, exactly. So we do a lot of things. We have different partners. So we are helping communities with their crisis management before, mid-crisis, and then after crisis.
Yeah.
So we do preparation, we do guidance when the crisis appear, and we do also recovery. So it depends on every scenario that we have. We have different equipment. We are giving them training. We could update some emergency management plan, for example. Yeah. We also do some structural recovery at time. Yeah.
So I think you've shown me before, you have a number of different communities spread out geographically. And have you people in each of those local communities who are reporting back to you in some form, or is that a full-time position for them, or do they volunteer in the community? How does it work in the local community?
In usually communities, so it's like a normal town. So I would say they have their political structure, which is a council, and they have the chief, and they have people under the chief that is helping him take decision, and they have an emergency team or a person that is designated to be qualified and handle crisis within the rest of the structure. And usually we communicate directly with them. We also communicate with the general director of the community, and by sometimes we speak with the chief as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so you open an EOC, an Emergency Operations Center, centrally. That's what I understand? And they're reporting back to you with information that you're tracking across all of the communities and resource requests. Is that what's happening?
Exactly. It really depends from communities, because some has only developed their EOC in times of crisis, and then the rest of the time they don't have one. And some of them has a full-time position that can handle. They don't have an EOC all time, but they have one person that is designated to answer all the questions about the emergency management. And those are our contacts.
Gotcha. So in a large scale incident, if I walk into your EOC, what kind of roles have you got operating?
Yeah, so we are operating with the federal government. So we are a partner from a program that is called PAGU in French, which could translate to Emergency Management Assistance Program.
Yep.
This program is supposed to handle is axed on handling the crisis for emergency management in the First Nation context. And we are a partner with them. So we have our own EOC. And within that EOC, we have liaison officer, we have the emergency management, we have also coordinator, assistant coordinator. And our roles really depends on how it is activated up there. So in the federal government, we would be more like we would have a complement, like we would complement their role. Yeah.
Okay, understood. Yeah. So we're in I think, except for everyone except Brennan in New Zealand, we're in the world's longest running incident with COVID. I think certainly there's not many EOCs open for this long. What's that been like for you guys, and what are the challenges in the region? Explain to the rest of the world what you're facing.
Yeah, so we are involved in a specific manner with the COVID-19 for us, because it's the Grand Council is not new, but our involvement with the emergency management is quite new. So, and for myself, I joined mid-crisis. So I was with the Canadian Coast Guard before, and then I joined with them while COVID was raging. But what we are doing specifically right now is that we are helping the communities with the PPE delivery and orders. So we are delivering the PPE to the community schools. We also do for the vaccination clinics, so the new one, and then for the health center as well.
Okay.
So you know what I'm saying when I say PPE, right?
Yes, personal protective equipment. Yep.
Yeah, excellent.
So masks, just for others, that's the masks, gowns, gloves, all of the face shields. Yep.
Excellent. Yeah, exactly. And we also help for more structural kind of PPE stuff with the vaccination clinic, such as glass wall and stuff like that. Yeah.
And so do the communities request what they need from you, or are you putting together packages that go out to them? How does it work?
Yeah, we are partnering. We have a partner with the branch of the federal government that is saying which PPE we should offer, and then the communities, they are consulting themselves for us, because sometimes they don't have they need to know what they need to order, so they don't have a clear view of what is their need. So they might ask us or the federal government what do they need. So in that case, we help them directly. They can ask to the federal government directly as well. So yeah.
Okay. And what's the vaccine situation in Quebec? Where are you at with that?
It's we're not so much involved in the vaccine right now. We're just mostly involved in the PPE. So I couldn't tell you a lot about the vaccine situation, but from what I know, from what I read in the news, like everyone else, I think it's supposed to be everyone's supposed to have their first doses in the end of the June month, and I think they're starting also vaccination for the elderly in the drugstore. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So you were telling me earlier about the equipment that you have. So centrally, you purchase equipment and get this emergency preparedness equipment out to communities.
Exactly.
What is that equipment? It's communications equipment. It's backup power. Like, can you describe some of those pieces?
Yeah, so we are helping communities with their if, for example, a community has a problematic, they have massive power outbreak at repetition. So we could try to do a project with the federal government to get them some big generator that they would have. But we have some equipment that we always have with us that are ours. And those are we have communication devices like I don't know if you're familiar with the Basecamp Connect.
Yes, yeah.
So we have one of them, which is a great way to help all the first responders to work with another. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. We also bought.
So just describe that for people. It's let's talk a little more about it. It's a communication hub that you put out into the community. Is that my understanding of it?
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, you have because we have some crises that are involving multi-agency.
Yeah.
So there's firefighters. There's a policeman, a health worker, and it's really hard to communicate with all of them. And because they have different communication system, some are working with command posts. Some of them are working directly with the supervisors. So that's a kind of a big device with a lot of radio station. Private LTE network, Wi-Fi network, and this is designed to bring a communication channel to all first responder and people that are working in a crisis. To be able to connect to them all, and then you can launch call to all of them. So it's a way to connect everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. And how rural is your most rural community? How remote are they?
There are some communities that are only accessible by plane, sometimes by train. We have some communities in northeast of Quebec in the North Shore. Those are only accessible by road and by a boat, but the boat is working only a certain time of the season. We also have a community named Matimicoche Lake John, which is on the upper of Quebec, which is really also hard to access. We have the Bay James. We have Cree Nation in the Bay James that we are not working with them often, but they are. It's a challenge to get there. Yeah.
So what infrastructure do they have? I mean, when you're putting in, they're doing their own power generation, or are they on the network, or I mean, how
it really depends. It really depends. Every community is different. Some of them have has a lot of infrastructure. They have multiple, for example, generators in case of power outbreak. Some of them have none. Some of them have partnership with the local or near town. Some of them are completely remote. So it really depends, and we need to adapt constantly with each community. Yeah.
What other equipment is out there that the EMA supply?
I would say generators. They also have each community usually have a shelter, kind of a place that you can go in case of a crisis. Some of them has add a command post. We have it really depends, because we have some communities that that has a search and rescue team ready to operate at any time. Some of them has float planes. But some of them don't have anything, so it really depends. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Yeah. I'm just looking. We're getting lots of hellos coming in here. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. Do keep asking questions. It's great to see the questions coming in. You also not only provide equipment, but you also provide training to those communities. What are the training courses? What kind of level do you bring them to?
Exactly. Yeah. So we are working to get a lot more partnership right now to offer more trainings to the communities. But for now, we are offering the ICS suites. I don't know if you're familiar with the ICS.
Yes. Yep.
So Incident Command System. So we're offering the ICS 100, 200, and sometimes 300 to the communities that are willing to receive it. We are.
Do you do them in person? Your team travel and run the class?
Exactly. So we're not doing it only by ourselves. So we will have partners that will accompany us to there, and then we will do some training with them. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Some of the trainings we cannot teach ourselves, so we have to do partnership to bring it to the communities. Yeah. So I'm thinking about search and rescue. We have a beginning of a partnership with search and rescue organization to bring those type of training. We can deliver EOC, basic EOC training. We are also updating and creating for the communities their emergency management plan, because it's mandatory for all the people in Quebec, but it's not for the communities. So it's piece by piece. So we're offering that service, and sometimes they will, sometimes they won't.
Yeah. There's a question in here from Brennan. Is there any particular PPE or medicines that you guys provide that are different than you might see elsewhere?
I would say we are providing for now for the schools, so the First Nation schools. And talking about the school, it's pretty much the same. So we're trying to stay update with all the updates from the government and the health agency. So we're trying to be up to date with that. So we're usually recommending the updated PPE. So it's basically the same. Yeah, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, very good. There's another question here. Do you maintain a list of the resources of each?
Sure. Yeah, it's part of my work on day-to-day work. So we're trying to update every month all the information about the emergency preparedness of the communities. So it's good that I have this question, because we are using D4H to update those information. But we are basically calling every communities each month, and we are trying to do annual calls as well to get a quick overview of who's still working, who has this and that training and stuff. Yeah, but maybe Excellent. I could show that later. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say you've been good enough. Oh, I'm getting a slight echo there now. Would you be able to turn down your speaker slightly? I'm hearing myself a little bit. So yeah, that's perfect. That's dropped off. And you've been good enough to offer to show your D4H account. Maybe it's a good point to transition to your screen. Should we do that?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not using D4H for very long, because you've just joined into the council. How many months are you using it?
I would say 2. Yeah.
2? Okay, even less than I thought. Okay, let's bring up your screen. You'll be very good to share this. So you were telling me you've built a kind of staged environment that you can demonstrate what you do without any confidential information.
Exactly. Do you see my mouse moving?
Yes, we do. Yeah, yeah.
Super. So I'll go straight to the map. So basically, we have all of our communities over here. So those are the area that our Legion officer are managing. So we have all the communities like this, and if I zoom in, you could see their names and stuff. So
Can you do a zoom out just so people can see kind of where in Canada, just to give people a
sure,
really
no
high
problem.
level view? Okay,
Yeah.
So it's quite a large scale there, right? That's a huge area.
Yeah, it's a huge area. Exactly. Yeah. So there's not, I would say up to that point, we're not in regular contact with the communities because they're really remote and they have their own type of political structure. But with near St. Lawrence River, all of those communities, we are speaking to them quite a lot of time in the year. Yeah.
And the colored boxes are different regions, is that?
Yeah, it's just to differentiate different region, yeah. But they don't have any link. So yeah, there's 4 region, but that was just to be more clear for our Legion officer. Those area don't have any big meaning if you yeah.
Sure. There's another question in here just while we're here. I don't know if you can see that. Do you have members of the community within your own office? And if not, do you have to learn any or have any particular training on language, culture, habits?
So we do have, and tell me if I answer correctly, we do have some First Nation people in our organization. It is a First Nation organization. So yes, we do have some people that are coming from different part of the different communities in the Quebec. For example, working with me, I got a Legion officer that is coming from, if I can zoom in over here. So yeah.
Back up here. Sorry. Yeah. So sorry. Just come back to your screen.
Yeah. So this region about here. So, for example, this Legion officer is agent is coming from the North Shore of Quebec. So she is managing this area as well. So it's more easier for her to communicate with local and remote communities. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And what was the last part of the question?
So if not, do you have to receive any particular cultural training or language or culture or habits, anything like that?
Yeah, so the last months the first months I started with the organization, we did receive some training, and we are we need to get a little bit more background about all the communities. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll go back to your map. I interrupted with that question. So yeah, we're looking at all the communities, and you're showing us how remote some of these northern ones are.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the area that we are covering, but you can see that all of those are gray, and that's because we don't want to show some information about the emergency preparedness of the communities. But for that purpose, I did a virtual system. So those are fake communities that I created, and those are there to represent what kind of work we do with D4H. So, for example, yeah, go for it.
So, well, we can already see COVID running 376 days, 2 hours, 56 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah. So let's click into a fictional community.
Yeah, so for example, we have this one. So I'll explain the color pattern just later. So if you click on that, you go on view, you have just basic information, and just note that those are not real information.
Yeah.
But you have information about the name, the population, how big is the community, whose chief is in place, and stuff like that. So just to get a quick overview. And then we have the area. So our Legion officer are able to see if that's one of their community or not. And then we have, is it covered by us? Because some communities are not covered by us yet, and it's a work in progress. So we have that. And then all of those things are criteria to a better emergency management. So we have, do they have an emergency plan? If yes, we can add some details, and when is the last update and stuff like that. So is the plan approved by the rest of the community? Do they have a efficient relationship with the emergency management and the council? What training did they receive? Do they have a actual EOC in place? And if yes, we're gonna check that in. And if do they have particular? So you talked about equipment. Do they have equipment, and what is the capacity for those equipment and stuff like that? So you can see that every some of them as numbered over here. So let's say 13, 12, and all of the checkbox over here, you just write it down over there. So it's an emergency management level indicator. And then we, with all the different indicators that are existing right now in Canada, how can I say it? We said, okay, so that level is well prepared, and that level could be better, and that level is in the middle. So once you checked all the information in your system, it generates a color pattern. So for example, if it's green, it's telling me, oh, okay, so this community can last a little bit before getting some training or some emergency plan update. So it's a community that is quite prepared. If it's gray, that it's a community that we maybe not have checked yet, or maybe is right in the middle. And if it's red, it means that the community needs close to immediate help. And if it's red, you just have to click, and then you go check. You see, oh, okay, so this community, I didn't check anything on that community, but it could be, okay, so they don't have an emergency plan. So you give them a little quick call and say, hey, we noticed that you don't have any emergency plan. Would you like to have some, or would you like to update your old one? So it's a way to planify the annual planification for us, or the monthly planification.
Yeah. So monthly, sorry, is it feedback again from your mic?
Yeah, I'm gonna mute myself.
There's monthly. You're doing monthly check-ins with people, and then coming back and updating it here.
Exactly. Yeah. And as soon as we get information about the communities, we are entering in there.
Excellent. Is there? It might be worth just showing people that within that, if you click into one of them, you're then able to print or share or email those different boards out to people as well. Yeah.
So if, for example, if I click on Fictional 5,
maybe don't do email because it'll show it might show real users, but you can certainly press print, I think, to
yeah, exactly. So if regularly we have to give feedback to our as I said before, we are a partner from the federal government, so we have to give them feedback about how it is going with the communities. So we just have to print to PDF, right, like this. Pardon me, and then you will have the full copy. Yeah,
that's on another tab. We can't see it, but
we can't see it. Okay,
but it's okay. People can understand that they get a nice printout of that, which you can then attach in Outlook.
Exactly.
That's excellent. You're really generous showing that. There's a couple questions in here, if as well. Are these training resources to everyone available to everyone online? I think that might relate. I'm not sure, Megan, if you want to give more ask the question with a little more detail. We'll try. And is it training resources, the ICS courses, or the was it the cultural piece, or which piece is of interest?
Because I can answer for ICS as because for the ICS, with some of our partners, it is accessible for everyone online to receive the ICS 100 at least, and then you have to register or call for to get to book in ICS 200 or higher level training. But yeah, it is available on the online. And there's a lot of training that we are not giving to the First Nation, but we are facilitating the process of them registering in those training. Yeah.
Brennan was asking here, is it are there any legislative privileges? I believe there are in Canada. Is that right?
There is. Unfortunately, I'm not specialized in that, so
No,
I don't
that's
want to go
okay.
any further than that. Yeah, I'm sorry, Brennan. Yeah.
Yeah. So the question here, Megan has just confirmed that the training resources were. Are there any cultural training available online that people can do when interacting with the communities? But I'm not sure you know the
Okay, so
answer.
culture. So, for example, you would want to get cultural training from the communities, or getting the same training as the communities are getting.
Yeah, I think it's in regards to interacting with language, cultural understanding of the communities you're dealing with. So when you start working for the council, what your training looks like in order to do that.
Yeah, so I don't think there is any available training yet. It's more of local information that are stored in our organization system, which we are encouraged to look. And we are getting a lot of feedback from our supervisors as well. But I don't think there is any, from us at least, any available for me training that are helping people to understand more the realities of the communities. But I'm sure on the web or anywhere else you can get some. Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
excellent.
And just on YouTube or Google, you could find some history of the Quebec community. That's a big chunk of history of Quebec. Yeah.
Excellent. Felix, is there anything else you'd like to share with people, or any questions that I may have told you I'd ask and you think I haven't? Or I mean, otherwise I'll be sort of saying thank you very much for joining us. There's a couple more questions ticking in now. We're getting people's interest, but feel free. If not, let's see here. Casey Stevens, can your communities log into D4H and update information directly?
They cannot. If they want to update information, they can call us or give us feedback. So, for example, if there's a switch of personnel or a switch in the, let's say, the emergency management staff, they can call us, or they will eventually receive a call from us to update that information. But they don't have access to that full system, at least our system. Yeah.
I've seen some organizations who do that. So they give each of the emergency managers access, and then they'll open a channel for an incident just in that community, and they're using it as a communications tool of kind of seeing all the ICS paperwork and everything else.
That could be a great idea. As Robin said, we're quite new with the D4H system, and I'm personally learning every day. So yes, I'll keep that in mind for sure. Thank you, Casey.
There's more in here. Do any of the First Nations communities have their own interpretation of the natural hazards? And are any of these used by emergency management as a knowledge source?
They sure have their own interpretation of emergency management, and we are getting a lot of knowledge when we are calling them to get, because we are the specialists in emergency management, but they are the specialists of their region. So they know everything coming from that tree and that tree and that lake. So we're getting a lot of information about their territory, and they are a great help, whether it's before or when the crisis appear. Yeah, so we are definitely using all that knowledge, all that we can get. But sure, of course, yeah, that's a yes.
Okay. Lots coming in here. Would you be willing to email a blank copy of the questionnaire? What I can do is, if you'd like, if I can connect you both after. It sounds like Brennan may get huge value out of speaking to you maybe directly.
I could surely speak to is it Brennan? Yeah.
Yeah.
I could speak with him after the meeting for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. We get some resources that you can shared. Sounds like it could be useful. Okay, well, thank you so much. There's been great engagement on this. We've had a large number of people viewing, and I can see Megan saying she'd like a copy as well. So, Megan and Brennan, just send me an email. I'm sure you've got my email, and I'll connect you with Félix, no problem at all. We'll as we get questions here, we'll keep going, and I'll say thank you about 10 times here. So is this system program Canada-wide? Is it set up in provinces? I think if that question is D4H set up Canada-wide, not for First Nations. I think this is something we work on with the Waban-Aki Grand Council, but there are other First Nations communities using it, but not system, not national as a national system. But is this same? Maybe the question comes in from: is the EMA program set up nationwide? Maybe that's what that question means. So does every First Nations community, does every council, I guess would be the phrase, have an EMA like you?
Sure. So there might be slight differences, but the program, the structure that we have at Waban-Aki, or at least in the federal government, they have the exact same for Canada. I think I lost you for a couple seconds. Maybe I can repeat. I don't know if you got my message.
No, we could hear all of that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the federal structure is based and has the same process for every region of Canada, of course. Yeah.
Okay. And so how many you're provincial in that sense, or is there different councils within the province then as well?
We are a private organization and a non-lucrative organization, but we are partner of the federal government, and everything. I won't say everything, but most of the things based on First Nation are a federal matter. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. I'm just making sure we've got everyone's comments through here. It's been people have really enjoyed it. Oh, there's another. Okay, so we'll go here. Can you talk on how the system could be used during the response to assist a local community?
Yeah, I know, Paul-Emile. So maybe if you could specify a little bit his question. I'm gonna be picky over here because I know him, but maybe you could specify a little bit more.
Well, we watched for that comment to come in. So give a very specific example. I can talk a little bit about what we'd see with people doing with it. So as a community signs in, or either in the central EOC or not, you can permission out the channel. So only certain communities or people have access to the data. Within that, then they can begin to put together all their incident action plans, so their ICS forms. They can fill all that paperwork in. And as they're building their IAP, their incident action plan, you're watching it live. So as somebody's filling in the paperwork, a bit like Google Docs, if you've used it, you can see them completing their IAP. They can then sign and lock everything off with electronic signatures. And it's all sort of agreed there and printable, shareable. That's the IAP available to everyone. So that happens a lot. The other thing people do is build those status boards. So like Félix had the communities board, we'd see people against each community as messages or information come in. You can log messages on the right-hand side there. So there's the ability, actually, Félix, your tab is still shared. I'll just bring this up here. So if you can just click into one of your fictional communities. What we'd see here is on the right-hand side under log. So you're able to even just type in test there for us. We can't quite see your cursor, but you'll see here as information comes in against communities, this is all logged against fictional 5. So that community will have a full log throughout the whole incident of all communications and information back and forward. And everything done also has an audit trail. So on that all tab, every single change has been, if something changes on a form, if there's any new information comes in at the end of the incident, everything is tracked and updated across. Another question here. Do some communities partner with local government for their emergency program?
They do, and the thing is that sometimes when they want to partner with the federal government are redirecting the demand of the First Nation to us. because we are a partner, sometimes we may accomplish things that the federal would like to, and we have a closest contact with them because we are, first of all, we are a First Nation organization at the base, and so we have a facilitating relationship with them. So yeah, they have partnership with the local. Okay, so maybe I misread. So you said local government. So maybe you need you say provincial government. At that point, I'm not sure, but one thing is sure, as I know, is that the First Nation, as some of them have partnership with local municipalities, which are working with the local government. Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Brennan's asking, is this different to the incident management live platform? No, it's the exact same piece. It's just a different configuration of it. So you're able to, all of those status boards in incident management, you can add new or edit the ones that are there. So what Félix has done is create a new status board. I think it was called something like communities or community preparedness. And each pin on the map, each place mark on the map is a community, and the pin turns green, amber, or red based on the score that they're giving them in preparedness. So they're able, during an emergency, to see immediately how everyone is doing based on that GAR or RAG, depending which way you go, status of the colors. So it's a very good way to do that. And then you can also log all the interactions back and forward, track all your resource requests, anything coming through or deliveries out to them. So if anybody does want a hand building a board like that, you can always reach out to us, support@d4h.org, and we'll jump on a call. Not much different from this, but it just won't be streamed on YouTube. And one of us will join you and configure one of those boards up. So delighted to do that. I think that's it. We'll have to close this at some point. There's been huge interest. We've done about 15 minutes of questions at the end. Félix, delighted you could join us. Thank you very much. And I think a big thank you from the whole community who are watching.
Thank you very much, Robin. And it's a little bit harder on the stream because English is not my first language, but I'll be delighted to help you if we get in contact after that for sure. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.